Good morning, or good afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from. Coach Kevin here, and we're going to go ahead and get started. First thing I want to do is go ahead and share my screen with you really quick and point out a couple of things. First thing that I want to point out is that we have a Facebook group that coincides with this meetup. So maybe you're with us for the very first time, or maybe you're watching this as a video someday in the future, don't know. But want you to know we have a Facebook group that coincides with our meetup, has the same name. I want to be really rich, and I do not apologize for it. The way you can find us is just to go into your own Facebook account, find wherever it says search Facebook, and then type in I want to be really rich, and I do not apologize for it. And we'll be happy to have you join us. The other way you can find us is you can go directly to facebook.com/groups/I want to be really rich as one word. So again, you can come find us and join us. We'd be happy to have you. And why might you want to do that? A few different reasons. First of all, if we have anything important to announce to the entire group, we'll usually have that pinned to the top. And then as you can see here, oh, there was Friday. What we do, as long as I remember to hit record, which I typically do, I record these meetings and then we post them into the Facebook group. The other thing that you can do is interact with us on Facebook and ask questions and things like that outside of the 45 minutes or so we have together each day. All right. And let's say today you attend, which you're here right now, and you like something, you like a lot of it maybe, and you want to go ahead and review it. You can go back in and review it. Or let's say that you're with us Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. For some reason, you can't be with us on Thursday, but you're back with us on Friday. You know where you can find the content so that you can get caught up with what we're doing. Okay, speaking of getting caught up with what we're doing, we're in the process today of going through a book. We've actually gone through a good portion of it already. I want to point out to you what the book is and where you can find it so you can get it for yourself for free. Okay. I happen to have a Kindle copy and an Audible copy. However, a lot of times if it's a book, it's not always a book, but if there is a book that we're going through and it is available on the internet for free, I try and find a good copy of it, point out where you can get it also, and then we use the same one together. So I did find one. The book is called The Game of Life. The author is Florence Skovel Shinn. So I just typed in The Game of Life, Florence Skovel Shinn PDF, and a few different things popped up. But the one that I liked was this one. This one says The Game of Life by Florence Skovel Shinn, or Game of Life. Then that's a comma by Florence Skovel Shinn dash free ebook. And it's on a website, www.globalgrayebooks.com. And then it says game-of-life-ebook. So this is the one that I liked. This is the one that we're using right now. And when you click on this, here's what happens. I'll show you. It comes to this page right here. And I just scrolled towards the bottom, read the little description, and kabam, I went ahead and downloaded the free PDF. And you could do the same. And when I did, here's what popped up. And by the way, it popped up on the cover page, okay, not on the page that we're studying right now, but it popped up on the cover page. And all I did, it didn't ask for name or email or anything like that. So I just went to my download function right here and downloaded it onto my computer so that I wanted to access it without being on the internet, I could. All right. So that's how I got a copy. That's how you can get a copy to follow along with us if you want the same one. The other thing you can do is, at least for now, I'm going to continue to share my screen. So if you don't want to do that at the moment, you can go do it later and you can just follow along with the screen for today. The reason though that you might want to get it you can go into, of course, our Facebook group and have access to the previous recordings and get caught up with us that way if you like to. Or you could at least get the book itself and get caught up with us. It's actually not a very long book. Why did I choose this book for us? Because we've actually been together since November 5th. We've gone through all kinds of things that are helpful in manifesting more money and wealth in our lives. And one of the things that has come up from you guys is sometimes, what is it that I should be affirming to myself? What would be the affirmations I should personally use? Or other people will call it auto suggestion. Okay. And Florence Scovel Shinn, even though she wrote this book quite a while ago and she's not with us any longer, she gives excellent examples in this book of ways that you can create an affirmation or auto suggestion for yourself in relationship to manifesting more money and wealth in your life. Not only does she share how to manifest those things, but also better health, better relationships, and whatnot. And the same principles that she's teaching and sharing are principles that can be used, even if she's not talking specifically about money in a given way on a given day. Okay. Let's say, for instance, today she doesn't use the word money at all. She might use it 100 times. She might not use it at all. Just depends on what she's using for specific examples. But you can always take the principle behind what she's saying and apply it to money and wealth. Okay. So I am going to start right here where we left off on Friday. And by the way, some of you folks out there, she will talk in terms, she's going to share some scripture. She's going to say the word God. If that bothers you, you can go ahead and leave right now. Some of you might. But for the most part, everything that she says, it's not necessarily that you have to have the same beliefs that she does. I don't have exactly the same beliefs that she does. I do believe in God. Okay. But again, it's the principles that are being taught, and she gives some excellent examples. So just take it in the spirit of which it is meant, and don't concern yourself with the other stuff. All right. Intuition or guidance. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. There is nothing too great of accomplishment for the man or woman who knows the power of his or her word, and who follows his or her intuitive leads. By the word, he starts in action unseen forces and can rebuild his body or remold his affairs. It is, therefore, of the utmost importance to choose the right words, and the student carefully selects the affirmation he or she wishes to catapult into the invisible. He knows that God is his supply, that there is a supply for every demand, and that his spoken word releases this supply. Ask and ye shall receive. Man must make the first move. Draw nigh to God, and he will draw nigh to you. I've often been asked just how to make a demonstration. I reply, speak the word, and then do not do anything until you get a definite lead. Demand the lead, saying, Infinite Spirit, reveal to me the way. Let me know if there's anything for me to do. I like this, by the way. Some of you guys are like, what do I do next? What do I do next? What do I do next? Very good advice right here. Speak the word and then do not do anything until you get a definite lead. Demand the lead. Okay. And you're not yelling at God. That's not the idea, right? Show the respect, but demand the lead, saying, Infinite Spirit, God, however you choose to say it or pray it, reveal to me the way. Let me know if there's anything for me to do. The answer will come through intuition or hunch, a chance remark from someone, or a passage in a book, etc., etc. The answers are sometimes quite startling in their exactness. For example, a woman desired a large sum of money. She spoke the words for Infinite Spirit to open the way for my immediate supply. Let all that is mine by divine right now reach me in great avalanches of abundance. Then she added, give me a definite lead. Let me know if there's anything for me to do. The thought came quickly. Give a certain friend who had helped her spiritually $100. She told her friend, who said, wait and get another lead before giving it. So she waited, and that day met a woman who said to her, I gave someone $1 today. It was just as much for me as it would be for you to give someone 100. This was indeed an unmistakable lead. So she knew she was right in giving the $100. It was a gift which provided a great investment, for shortly after that, a large sum of money came to her in a remarkable way. Giving opens up the way for receiving. In order to create activity in finances, one should give. Tithing, or giving 1/10 of one's income, is an old Jewish custom and is sure to bring increase. Many of the richest men in this country have been tithers, and I have never known it to fail as an investment. The 10th part goes forth and returns blessed and multiplied, but the gift or tithe must be given with love and cheerfulness, for God loveth the cheerful giver. Bills should be paid cheerfully, all money should be sent forth fearlessly and with a blessing. This attitude of mind makes man master of money. It is his to obey, and his spoken word then opens the vast reservoirs of wealth. Man himself limits his supply by his limited vision. Sometimes the student has a great realization of wealth, but is afraid to act. The vision and action must go hand in hand, as in the case of the man who bought the fur-lined overcoat, which we talked about on Friday. A woman came to me asking to speak the word for position, so I demanded, Infinite Spirit, open the way for this woman's right position. Never ask for just a position, ask for the right position, the place already planned in divine mind, as it is the only one that will give satisfaction. Let me repeat this. And by the way, if anybody is off mute, can you go ahead and put yourself on mute? I think, Kimberly, you might be off mute right now. We'll have a time where we'll get to talk and interact with each other. Okay. Infinite Spirit, open the way for this woman's right position. Never ask for just a position, ask for the right position, the place already planned in divine mind, as it is the only one that will give satisfaction. I then gave thanks that she had already received and that it would manifest quickly, very soon. She had 3 positions offered to her, 2 in New York and 1 in Palm Beach, and she did not know which to choose. I said, ask for a definite lead. The time was almost up and was still undecided when one day she telephoned. When I woke up this morning, I could smell Palm Beach. She had been there before and knew its balmy fragrance. I replied, well, if you can smell Palm Beach from here, it is certainly your lead. She accepted the position, and it proved a great success. Often one's lead comes at an unexpected time. One day I was walking down the street when I suddenly felt a strong urge to go to a certain bakery a block or 2 away. The reasoning mind resisted, arguing, there's nothing there that you want. However, I had learned not to reason, so I went to the bakery. I looked at everything, and there was certainly nothing there I wanted. But coming out, I encountered a woman I had thought of often and who was in great need of the help which I could give her. So often one goes for one thing and finds another. Let's see. Rodney, do you mind going on mute, please? Intuition is a spiritual faculty and does not explain, but simply points the way. A person often receives a lead during a treatment. The idea that comes may seem quite irrelevant, but some of God's leadings are mysterious. In the class one day, I was treating that each individual would receive a definite lead. A woman came to me afterwards and said, while you were treating, I got the hunch to take my furniture out of storage and get an apartment. The woman had come to be treated for health. I told her I knew in getting a home of her own, her health would improve. And I added, I believe your trouble, which is congestion, has come from having things stored away. Congestion of things causes congestion in the body. You have violated the law of use, and your body is paying the penalty. So I gave thanks that divine order was established in her mind, body, and affairs. People little dream of how their affairs react on the body. There is a mental correspondence for every disease. A person might receive instantaneous healing through the realization of his body being a perfect idea in divine mind, and therefore whole and perfect. But if he continues his destructive thinking, hoarding, hating, fearing, condemning, the disease will return. Jesus Christ knew that all sickness came from sin, but admonished the leper. And by the way, when we say sin, we're not talking about doing some evil thing, okay? We're talking about not acting in accordance with what we know is best. Okay, if we're given a lead to follow, we don't follow the lead. If we know we should be doing something good and we choose not to do it, same thing. We're in opposition to what it is we really want and who we truly are. When we act in opposition to who we really are and what we truly want, that would be a better definition of sin. Okay. And so Jesus Christ knew that all sickness came from sin, but admonished the leper after the healing to go and sin no more, lest a worse thing come upon him. Okay. So, and by the way, in that situation, it could simply be that the leper was afraid of being a leper, was afraid of sickness, was afraid of that. And so he had to let go of being afraid of being sick and think in terms of health and prosperity and abundance. So man's soul or subconscious mind must be washed whiter than snow for permanent healing. And the metaphysician is always delving deep for the correspondence. Meaning by the correspondence, what is it that caused it? Jesus Christ said, "Condemn not, lest ye also be condemned. Judge not, lest ye be judged." Because when we're condemning others and judging others, we're doing the same to ourselves. Many people have attracted disease and unhappiness through condemnation of others. What man condemns in others, he attracts to himself. For example, a friend came to me in anger and distress because her husband has deserted her for another woman. She condemned the other woman and said continually she knew he was a married man and had no right to accept his attentions. I replied, "Stop condemning the woman, bless her, and be through with the situation. Otherwise, you're attracting the same thing to yourself." She was deaf to my words, and a year or two later became deeply interested in a married man herself. Man picks up a live wire whenever he criticizes or condemns and may expect a shock. Indecision, and that's why we went through decision a while back, Bob Proctor's article, indecision is a stumbling block in many a pathway. In order to overcome it, make the statement repeatedly, "I am always under direct inspiration. I make right decisions quickly." These words impress the subconscious, and soon one finds himself awake and alert, making his right moves without hesitation. I have found it destructive to look to the psychic plane for guidance, as it is the plane of many minds and not the one mind. Let me repeat that. I have found it destructive to look at the psychic plane for guidance, as it is the plane of many minds and not the one mind. So look for your guidance from God in the universe, okay? As a man opens his mind to subjectivity, he becomes a target for destructive forces. The psychic plane is the result of man's mortal thought and is on the plane of opposites. He may receive either good or bad messages. The science of numbers and the reading of horoscopes keeps man down on the mental or mortal plane, for they deal only with the karmic path. I know a man who should have been dead years ago, according to his horoscope, but he is alive and a leader of one of the biggest movements in this country for the uplift of humanity. It takes a very strong mind to neutralize a prophecy of evil. The student should declare, "Every false prophecy shall come to naught. Every plan my Father in heaven has not planned shall be dissolved and dissipated. The divine idea now comes to pass." However, if any good message has ever been given one of coming happiness or wealth, harbor and expect it, and it will manifest sooner or later through the law of expectancy. Man's will should be used to back the universal will. I will that the will of God be done. It is God's will to give every man or woman, or I should say every man and woman, every righteous desire of his or her heart. And man's will should be used to hold the perfect vision without wavering. The prodigal son said, "I will arise and go to my father." It is indeed often an effort of the will to leave the husks and swine of mortal thinking. It is so much easier for the average person to have fear than faith. So faith is an effort of the will. Let me repeat that. It is indeed often an effort. So there's effort involved with this. You're wondering, What action should I take? What work should I be doing? Use your will to stay focused on what it is you truly want. Okay. It is indeed often an effort of the will to leave the husks and swine of mortal thinking, that which shows up to us by outer appearances, that which shows up through our senses, our five senses, that which we hear and read and others do on the outside. It is so much easier for the average person to have fear than faith. So faith is an effort of the will. That's what you need to exercise. As man becomes spiritually awakened, he recognizes that any external inharmony is the correspondence of mental inharmony. Let me repeat that. As man or woman becomes spiritually awakened, he or she recognizes that any external inharmony is the correspondence of mental inharmony. If he stumbles or falls, he may know he is stumbling or falling in consciousness. One day, a student was walking along the street condemning someone in her thoughts. She was saying mentally, "That woman is the most disagreeable woman on earth," when suddenly 3 Boy Scouts rushed around the corner and almost knocked her over. She did not condemn the Boy Scouts, but immediately called on the law of forgiveness and saluted the divinity in the woman. Wisdom's way are ways of pleasantness, and all her paths are peace. When one has made his demands upon the universal, he must be ready for surprises. Everything may seem to be going wrong when in reality it's going right. Okay, there should be a sense of comfort for some of us. Well, everybody, we're going to experience this and have experienced it at one point or another. When one has made his or her demands, requests, okay, we don't really like command God per se, but demand, meaning we have the true intention of it. We're not weak in our asking. We're asking with faith and belief instead of timidly asking it and not believing. When one has made his or her demands upon the universal, he or she must be ready for surprises. Everything may seem to be going wrong, when in reality it is going right. For example, a woman was told that there was no loss in divine mind. Therefore, she could not lose anything which belonged to her. Anything lost would be returned, or she would receive its equivalent. Several years previously, she had lost $2,000. She had loaned the money to a relative during her lifetime, but that relative had died, leaving no mention of it in her will. The woman was resentful and angry, and she had no written statement of the transaction. She never received the money, so she determined to deny the loss and collect the $2,000 from the Bank of the Universal. She had to begin by forgiving the woman, as resentment and unforgiveness closed the doors of this wonderful bank. She made this statement: "I deny loss. There is no loss in divine mind. Therefore, I cannot lose the $2,000 which belong to me by divine right. As one door shuts, another door opens." She was living in an apartment house which was for sale, and in the lease was a clause stating that if the house was sold, the tenants would be required to move out within 90 days. Suddenly, the landlord broke the leases and raised the rent. Again, injustice was on her pathway, but this time she was undisturbed. She blessed the landlord and said, "As the rent has been raised, it means that I'll be that much richer, for God is my supply." New leases were made out for the advanced rent, but by some divine mistake, the 90 days clause had been forgotten. Soon after, the landlord had an opportunity to sell the house. On account of the mistake in the new leases, the tenants held possession for another year. The agent offered each tenant $2,000 if he would vacate. Several families moved, 3 remained, including the woman. A month or 2 passed, and the agent again appeared. Offered $200. The agent offered each tenant $200 if he would vacate. Several families moved, 3 remained, including the woman. A month or 2 passed, and the agent again appeared. This time he said to the woman, Will you break your lease for the sum of $1,500? And remember, this book was written a long time ago. It flashed upon her, so she got this intuitive feeling. Here comes the $2,000. She remembered having said to friends in the house, "We will all act together if anything more is said about leaving." So her lead was to consult her friends. These friends said, "Well, if they have offered you $1,500, they will certainly give $2,000." So she received a check for $2,000 for giving up the apartment. It was certainly a remarkable working of the law, and the apparent injustice was merely opening the way for her demonstration, meaning for the 2000 to manifest. It proved that there is no loss. And when man takes his spiritual stand, he collects all that is his from the great reservoir of good. I will restore to you the years the locusts have eaten. The locusts are the doubts, fears, resentments, and regrets of mortal thinking. These adverse thoughts alone rob man, for no man gives to himself but himself, and no man takes away from himself but himself. Let me repeat that. These adverse thoughts alone rob man, for no man gives to himself but himself, and no man takes from himself but himself. Man is here to prove God and to bear witness to the truth, and he can only prove God by bringing plenty out of lack and justice out of injustice. Prove me now herewith, saith the Lord of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven and pour out a blessing that there shall not be room enough to receive it. Okay. This is probably a good spot. We will pick up here tomorrow under perfect self-expression or the divine design. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Looks like several people have joined us since we got started. Good to have all of you here. Looks like we might even have some new folks maybe have joined us today. So let me explain what we're doing right now. Now's your opportunity to share. So what we do typically and what we're going to do today is you have the opportunity to share and you have the opportunity to ask questions. So what would be appropriate for sharing? Well, it can be anything in relationship to manifesting good things in your life, especially money and wealth. If you have any stories to share about manifesting things successfully in your life, feel free to do that. The other thing that would be great to share is anything in relationship to what we were studying today, either something you learned or an aha moment, or maybe something you're going to do differently because of what was shared today, and or what we've done in the past. Again, we've been together since November 5th. So if you want to share something in relationship to what we've done over in the past, that's okay too. As far as questions go, that would be anything related to what we've studied in the past, what we've studied today, and or anything in relationship to manifesting more money and wealth in your life. So what you do if you'd like to share or ask questions is you just come off mute and start talking, and then I'll take you in the order that you do that. And we will do that starting right now. Anybody have anything that they would like to share and or any questions that they would like to ask? Please do share and or ask. It's so funny. Once somebody gets going with it, then we end up with 3 or 4 others. So somebody's
I
been.
have a question.
Yes. Hi.
Hi, this is Francine.
Hi, Francine.
So, when we dream, is that manifestation of our subconscious?
When we have just dreams at nighttime, you mean, or whenever we,
Yes.
but you mean when we go to bed?
Yeah, at night.
Okay. You know what? Not an expert. So I don't take every dream that I ever have as a sign of something. Sometimes sometimes I intuitively do have a dream that tells me something to do and I follow that. But that's not every single time I go to bed. It's for me to say that every dream means something very specific to me. I don't know. I mean, some of them are just silly and fun. Some of them are when I was a little kid, sometimes they were scary. Um, but for instance, when I was a real little kid, I had watched, funny enough, Wizard of Oz, and it kind of gave me nightmares. And so I had this dream of the Wizard of Oz, that I was going and the witch was there and I threw water on her and she didn't melt. What did that mean to me? I don't know. It meant that I was going to go sleep in bed with mom that night. That's what it meant to me. But I never did die or melt, or the witch never killed me. So, but I've also had times where I've distinctly felt a prompting of something to do, from my dream. Maybe not, and usually it was like just a moment there, and I wake up and I know I'm supposed to go do something specific. So I follow that.
Well, the reason I'm asking is that, we're working on our subconscious and to
Mhm.
change and remove some of the fears and some of the things that our subconscious has been, basically the wrong things in our subconscious.
Yeah.
Okay. The things that are blocking us or making it that we don't yet have what we want and so on. So our subconscious, we're told, does not sleep. It's there active all the time. So my question in reference to that is that, okay, so we're working on our subconscious, and what if our subconscious during the night shows us other things that we don't want, in the opposition to what we've been asking type thing.
I wouldn't, if you're fearful of it, that here's what I would say about it. The subconscious, if you wake up within some inspiration to do something positive in a positive direction and you feel like you got guidance, take that and do it.
Okay.
Any
Yeah.
crappy thing that happens in your dream, let it, just don't worry about it. Because you're
Okay.
right, the
No idea.
subconscious never
Did you
sleeps.
leave a message?
The subconscious never sleeps, but also the subconscious is what's keeping us alive and breathing and doing all that stuff anyway. So the subconscious is always doing a lot of stuff. So, the dream, the subconscious could still be bringing us what we want, even if we're having some funky dream some night. It's not, that is not necessarily a sign that what it is that you've asked for is not going to happen, or whatever tragic thing is going on in your dream is going to happen to you. Okay. I I would just look, and interestingly enough, though, I will bring this up. I don't. It's been a long time since I've had a bad dream. It's been a long time since I've had a bad dream. Mostly because of I control throughout the day more of what I put into my mind than I used to. Also, I tend not to watch TV shows or movies or whatever right before I go to bed that have a lot of violence and fighting and hating and stuff like that. When I used to watch shows right before, and this goes back years, but I'd watch something like that right before going to bed, I was more likely to have weird, funky bad dreams. Not every night or anything, but that's just how it functioned for me. But I can't think of really having bad dreams in quite a while. Maybe I did at the very beginning of COVID. My son chose to go on a binge watch of Criminal Minds. Okay. And so I saw some of that. And I remember, going, I didn't always like put something better into my head right before I went to bed. But I recognized pretty quickly that that wasn't the best idea. I mean, here's the way I look at this, and I'm not perfect at it. Everything we choose, especially when we choose it, that we choose to put into our head, and when sometimes we choose by not choosing, meaning it's playing in the background, but we can control turning that thing on or off. When we choose to put something in that makes us feel like crap when we're done, we made that choice. We do it through entertainment all the time. Maybe not everybody does that, but a lot of people do it through entertainment. They'll do it through, the, and I movies and stuff like that. But we'll do it through the violence. We'll do it through, the murders and the deaths and the people cheating on each other and all the stuff that tends to show up in media, in what we consume. I highly recommend that we don't consume any of it, but if at least if we're going to consume some of that, the best thing, we should at least cut it off an hour or two before we go to bed and put something in that's good for that hour or two before we go to bed. We probably won't have very many funky, weird bed dreams anymore.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I think, Rich, you were going to say something maybe?
Yes. Actually, I've got a question about a situation. Uh, uh, Basically, I had looked at a uh, a property for sale on Friday, and I'm sort of
I didn't realize.
trying. Pardon?
Okay. No, I didn't
Oh,
realize my camera had been off. Sorry about that, guys.
oh, no, that's okay. And I'm trying to figure whether I should be focusing on the property. It needs some work. The rugs were taken out, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm trying to figure whether I should focus on visualizing the property all fixed up. It's mine, it's nice, et cetera, or whether I should be focusing more on uh praying praying to God about saying like God, if this, if this is meant to be and this is going to be good, then please please let it happen. But if it's going to be in the way of something else, um well, let's say I basically with real estate, like anything else, stuff comes and goes,
Yep.
and all. So I was sort of trying to. I've been vacillating between manifesting in my mind it all fixed up and it's mine, et cetera,
Uh-huh.
and praying. Well, you know, if this is meant to be, then uh, please let it happen. If not, let me see what what other doors open.
Uh-huh. I think you're in a position right now, to be honest with you, that you can do both.
Yeah, yeah. I've
That's how
actually.
I feel. Build it up in your mind the way you would want it
Mm,
and ask for this or something better. And now you've got a vision of something that you want. And then the only thing that could happen as a result going forward is this will happen, or whatever you end up with will be it will have as much of the things or as nice of, in other words, you'll create something that you want because by needing to fix this one up, you're doing, you're doing the kitchen, you're doing the bathroom, you've now created this house as kind of your ideal. What you did is you just took a parameter, because obviously the thing has a shape. But other than it having a shape and a size to it in a location, the inside, you can do anything you want with it. Well, you could very easily do that with this house, use it as a starting point or like a blueprint to build off of, create what you want in your mind, enjoy it, this or something better. And you will end up with that, or you'll end up with something even better that will probably have a lot of those things that you are creating and putting into it already in it.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, so you do both.
Okay, thanks.
Uh-huh.
Ac- a- Actually, I guess I was on the right track because that's kind of what I was doing. I've been kind of vacillating between both.
Yeah. Now
Yeah,
you don't have to vacillate. Now solidify the two. The one
yeah.
is simple. Do all the visualizing and building in your mind and in your heart and your feelings and that you want, and then just add in a simple and be willing, this or something better. If this is meant to be for me and this is for my highest and best good, terrific. If you've got another plan in a better place, I'm totally up for that too. For now, I'm going to stay focused here unless you guide me to do something else.
Uh, okay, thanks, Kevin.
You're welcome. Any other
Hi.
question? Hi.
Hi. So I had something. It was kind of simple, but it reinforced some things for me. So Yesterday I was out doing some errands and I was driving into my car and I realized that my windshield wiper fluid was out. And so, I live in Chicago, it's freezing, it's snowing, I'm cold. So I stop, I go get the windshield wiper fluid. I come back to my vehicle and I am trying to open the hood of my car and I cannot do it. I don't have any gloves on.
Yeah.
I'm freezing.
Yeah.
So I've tried and I've tried. I'm like, I don't know if it's the snow that's on it, the ice is, I haven't opened the lid in a while. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I say to myself, God, if you could just send a man around so they can help me open this lid, I would surely appreciate it. And I'm telling you, I didn't even get a chance to turn around. And now mind you, I had been out there trying to open this hood for about 5 minutes and people were walking past me. And I mean, I didn't even get a chance to turn around. As soon as I said that, a couple seconds later, not even minutes, this guy comes walking up and asks me that I need some help. I was like, oh my goodness. And so I told him then, I said, you know what? I just prayed to God that someone would help me. And here you are. And I said, you're my little angel. And we just joked about that. And he put the windshield wiper fluid in the car for me. And he fixed it for me. And so, of course, I was excited about it. And so I called a business partner of mine and I was telling him, and I said, it just reinforces to me that if you ask for assistance to the universe, whoever that universe for you may be, for small things, that was something very small, that just imagine if you put that type of faith into the big things that you want. And then, of course, while we were talking, he told me something similar, not towards I did, but just something that similar happened to him, and he called out, and then something happened to him. So I know it's something similar. I mean, some insignificant, but it's sort of just reinforces this thing to me.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It is for God, it's the exact same thing. It's only in our mind where one thing's different than the other. It's only in our mind that makes it harder, bigger, should take longer. We do that. And that is predominantly old programs. It's just stuff that got programmed into us since we were really little, to be honest. Either when we were young, most of the stuff got in there before we were even 8 or 9 years old. Our core. And then it was still built up after that till we started getting older and making our own decisions and stuff, but we still had our environment around us. So yeah, I mean, if you look at the life of Jesus, it doesn't say a lot till he got older and started doing his ministry, but we know little bits and pieces, just little bits about him. But one thing that he seemed to, his growth was not retarded like ours is, because he didn't have the fear. Well, you don't have the fear, you don't retard your growth, right? It's really only fear, which is false evidence appearing real. It's also faith in that which is evil instead of faith in that which is good. It's just inverted faith. If we could remove all fear, there'd be nothing we couldn't do. And what we're doing is we're just reprogramming our subconscious. You can't really tell your subconscious mind, don't be afraid of anything. It doesn't function that way. We all want this blanket, that's why everybody wants and everybody's number is different. That's why everybody wants 1 million, 10 million, 100 million, 1 billion, because we think there's a number out there that could protect us from anything and everything. Well, with that much, I could buy anything and everything, and I could take care of myself forever, and so on and so forth. Versus having that faith and trust in the power that God gave us to choose, and his ability and the universe's ability to deliver that which we choose. That's how God in the universe would prefer that we operate. Doesn't really want us to ask for 100 million unless we got a use for it. If our use is, well, so I don't have to worry, you're better off reprogramming yourself so you don't have to worry. And you're going to have to take it a step at a time in different aspects of your life. The things that we worry about and fear and get all worked up about, those are the ones where there's a program running in opposition to the results we want. And that's why we have those thoughts and feelings in the first place. The only real fear we have when we're born is what, guys?
Die.
Right? Fear of falling and loud noise when you're an infant. Other than that, baby's not afraid of anything. It learns everything else to be afraid of.
So Kevin, my mother used to have a prayer, and she said it in French, so I'm going to try to translate it in English. And it was prayer to God, and it was, God, I believe, but please help me, help my faith grow.
Mhm.
And I think that's very important, is to, sometimes we want to have faith, or we think we have faith, but we don't necessarily have enough.
Yeah, that's where in the Bible, the man basically was for his son, I think, at this point. Anyhow, Christ said, "Do you believe?" He goes, "I believe." Then the very next thing he said is, "Help thou my unbelief." We also believe in spurts. we we believe long enough sometimes to have something happen, but then the next time it comes around, we don't believe it this time, which is also kind of funny. Like this time, somebody will help me fix my car. But then another time, maybe we don't really believe it and we're struggling even more and we don't get that help, right? It's just one of those things where it'll become a habit when we go to God first at the beginning of our days, the end of our nights, when we stop throughout the day, when we are looking to make decisions and we need help, and when we don't treat anything as big or little, we treat everything as the same, which means I think God and the universe would rather have us converse with them so they can give us feedback than have us get feedback from everywhere else that's going to be in opposition to what we want. They're not going to be in opposition to what we want unless what we want's not good for us. And the way to protect ourselves in that way is with the this or something better than. You know what? If I ask for something that's not meant for me, give me that or something better. Then you can always be happy, because if you don't get what you want, you don't have to get ticked off about it. You got to actually get excited. Something better must be coming. Anybody else? Questions or comments?
Mm-mm.
You guys are good?
Just trying to stay warm.
Trying to stay warm.
Well, I live in Texas, and you know what? We've had record lows. Not the state of Texas has never had 8 degrees for weather,
Oh,
or
wow.
7 degrees.
Yeah,
Never, never 4 inches of snow. 8 degrees. I mean, y'all up north. I mean, yeah, that's you can understand. Texas never had 8 degrees. Maybe Amarillo, but not where I live around Dallas. But I've got friends, they give me wood. I've got a little fire going. I've got the oven going. And I know when my electric bill comes, I'm going to be able to pay for it. That's all I can say. I'm going to be able to pay for it all. I'm going to be able to take care of everything.
That's awesome.
And I love this book. That's right. I'm practicing not to worry. And I have friends, a couple of women that have spurts of low self-esteem that I encourage with this book. I'm trying to get them to participate in this with Kevin, with you. But one of them was attempting suicide over the weekend. She wanted to go jump off the bridge up in Arkansas, and I just happened to call her and talk her out of it, be a friend to her. And I told her I would call her twice a day and that I cared. She's just newly divorced, and she didn't want to be a bother to anybody anymore. She was ready to end it all over the weekend. So I started getting Florence her book. And I said, this is the book. And I started taking paragraphs out of this book and told her about our group. And I said, this is helping me because I'm right there with you. I'm not any better than you are. I have my worries and doubts in life, but we're going to get through this together because we are better than what the world says we are. We are so much better than the evil one says we are. And we're going to show the world that we are so much better than this, that we're the best.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that one more thing is that this is what I love when you say this. I appreciate what you say. That what we pray for, if it's not right, not good, that the best is coming for us because God wants the best for us because he loves us. So that's the whole point of the personal relationship I have with God and trying to help her understand that.
Awesome. Very cool. Very cool. Any other questions or comments for today? Okie dokie. Well, then we will call it a day, and I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. And Mercedes and Tanya, I know we already said so, but you're both here. Congratulations, because starting tomorrow and also Wednesday, we're getting the coaching running. Any of you guys, it's not too late. You can join up today if you want to. Just send me the email at coachkevinsparks@gmail.com if you want to be a part of that group. All right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow.
Thank you, Kevin. Really appreciate you.
You're welcome.
Kevin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kevin.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Kevin.